Okay, let's just jump right in. What if I told you there was a quiet, kind of under-the-radar change to the US tax code, one that lets you sock away way more money tax-free than has been possible for like the last 30 years? Yeah, let's break down exactly what happened and, more importantly, what it can mean for you.
So, picture this. It's the tail end of 2020. Everyone's distracted by, well, everything. And while we were all looking elsewhere, something pretty major happened. A huge piece of financial law got its first real update in over 30 years, and almost nobody noticed.
So let me just ask you this straight up. What if you could pump a whole lot more money into an account that grows tax-free and do it way, way faster than you ever thought possible? I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, right? Well, it's not. This isn't some secret loophole or trick. We're talking about a fundamental shift in the tax code itself. It's a change that makes a really powerful financial strategy more accessible and quicker for a lot more people.
The exact date was December 27th, 2020. Buried deep inside this enormous piece of legislation called the Consolidated Appropriations Act was this little update. An update to something called Section 7702. And this one little section completely changes how these powerful financial tools work starting in 2021.
So here's the bottom line. This change gives us three massive benefits. First, you can put in more money. Second, you can get it in there a heck of a lot faster. And third, because of that, you can reduce the internal insurance costs much quicker. It's more money, faster, with lower costs. It's a win-win-win.
Okay, to really get this, we need to talk about the tool at the heart of it all. And the source material has this fantastic, simple way of explaining it. Just think of it as your own personal tax-free money bucket.
So what is this thing? We're talking about a special kind of life insurance policy, often called a max-funded life insurance policy. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. Life insurance? But stick with me. The reason it's life insurance is because for decades, the tax code has given this amazing tax-free treatment to the cash that grows inside these policies. So the real goal here isn't the death benefit part. It's to use the policy as a container, to stuff it with the maximum amount of money the IRS will let you, and then let it grow and be accessed completely tax-free.
So here's how that bucket idea works. It's super simple. Step 1, you pour money into your bucket. Step 2, all the money inside that bucket gets to grow 100% tax-free. Step 3, there's this tiny little spigot on the side of the bucket, and a little bit drips out to pay for the bare minimum amount of insurance the IRS says you have to have. And then, Step 4, the best part. When you're ready, you can take that money out, all of it, your original money and all the growth, and it's completely, you guessed it, tax-free.
When this whole strategy first came on the scene back in the 80s, it worked so well that people started calling it a tax-free cash cow. And honestly, that's exactly what it becomes. But of course, when something works that well, the government starts making new rules.
Right. So to really appreciate how big of a deal this 2020 change is, we got to take a quick look back at the old rules, the ones that were in place for decades.
Here's a quick history lesson. It all kicked off in 1980. This new thing called universal life insurance gets created. It gets so popular so fast that the IRS steps in with a couple of new laws, TIFRA and DFRA. But the big one, the rule that basically set the standard for over 30 years, came in 1988. It was called TAMRA, and it was all about Section 7702.
And this is the perfect way to think about those old rules. TFRA and DFRA, those first two, they basically decided how much life insurance you needed to buy for your bucket to qualify for that tax-free status. But TAMRA, that's Section 7702, was totally different. It set the rules for how fast you were allowed to pour your money into the bucket. It was basically a speed limit. And that's the rule that just got a massive update.
So enough about the past. Let's talk about right now. What's actually different since this change took effect in 2021?
Well, for the first time since 1988, think about that, over 30 years, the rules that control how fast you can fill your tax-free bucket have been completely rewritten. The speed limit's been raised. And in some cases, it's not just raised, it's been blown wide open.
Okay, theory is great, but what does this mean in real dollars? Let's get into the weeds a bit and look at some actual examples from the source material. This is where it gets really interesting.
All right, let's take a 45-year-old. Before this change, under the old rules, the most they could put into a specific policy was about $198,000. Okay, not bad. But now, with the new rules, that number jumps to $310,000. I mean, that is a night and day difference. Let me put that another way.
That's a 56% increase in the amount of money you can get into that tax-free growth engine. We're talking about more than $100,000 extra dollars you can put to work for you.
Okay, what about somebody who's a little bit older, maybe closer to retirement? Let's look at a 65-year-old. Before, their max contribution was just under $500,000. Now, it's over $624,000.
That's still a 25% increase. So yeah, the percentage isn't as huge as for the 45-year-old, but it's still an absolutely massive increase in the sheer amount of cash you can protect from taxes, which is critical at that age.
But you have to see this. This is where things just get kind of crazy. For a 25-year-old, the old rules capped them at about $83,000. Under the new rules, an incredible $158,000.
Look at that. It's a 90% increase. For younger people, the ability to front-load these accounts has almost doubled overnight. This is an absolute game changer.
So what's the real punchline here? What does all this speed mean? It means a 25-year-old can now get their bucket full and get that money compounding as a tax-free cash cow in just over 2 years. 2 years and a day, to be exact. Under the old rules, that took 5 years. The whole timeline has been supercharged.
So look, the big takeaway is that this isn't some tiny tweak to the tax code. It's a really significant structural change that opens up brand new possibilities. And it leaves us with a really important question to think about. How will these changes reshape retirement planning, maybe even your own, for a whole new generation?